It's the FAQ podcast, frequently asked questions. Fuzzy and Quincy, subscribe anywhere you check out podcasts. But guess what? If you want to actually sponsor the podcast, you want to advertise, go to fuzzynq@gmail.com. That's fuzzynq@gmail.com. We are in Houston.
H-Town.
Yeah, let me tell you about this guy, man. I met this guy, and he's another one. I met him a couple of months ago, and it feels like we've known each other for forever.
Listen, when we sat down with him earlier, I'm like, I felt like I met this dude before, but I don't know.
Yeah, no,
But we never met.
We met in the metaverse.
There it is.
Listen, if you know about Houston and you know about cuisine, there's a place, and he has multiple restaurants, but we've been to one of his restaurants today.
This morning.
Lines always wrapped around the corner. It's a Houston staple. We have Marcus Davis from the Breakfast Klub.
Hello,
Marcus Davis.
Breakfast
MD.
Klub with a K.
Yeah, MD. He's a doctor. How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, man.
Yeah, it's important because we wanted to talk to you. You know what me and Fuzz are doing with the podcast. You know, we started out, just people, entertainers, right? And entertainers that's cool. That's one thing. Right. But we want to start showing business and
lifestyle,
and just start sustaining. How do you sustain a business? And the one thing, when you go to the Breakfast Klub here in Houston, it is an amazing experience.
Yeah.
From the door. Let's talk about the door.
This older lady, she comes to the door.
Yeah.
And she's like
polite,
but like the black grandmother that you
gave
always
vibes.
Had, and she's just like, hey, I want y'all to scan the menu, and we like, all right. She gives it to her. She's like, you ain't see that big QR code over there?
And it was a big sign with the QR code.
But just a great woman, great experience, and the food comes out fast. Everyone in the restaurant that works there has a great attitude, and I guess
the music's right, the artwork's right.
I think some of the issues we've had with supporting black businesses is, the food good, but it takes too long. Or
the service ain't right.
People got attitudes. And this is probably like my third or fourth time coming to the Breakfast Klub, and it's been seamless. It's been a great experience, and that is an ode to you and your operation, brother.
I appreciate it, man.
It's definitely, your establishment is a reflection of you. After having breakfast with you this morning or just talking to you a few minutes, I'm like, oh, that's just him.
Yeah.
That's just you. So
and I'm gonna tell you, gonna act shy, but he not shy for us. He ain't shy.
Nah, I'm not shy. I'm just kind of taking a little bit. I'm sitting at the table with the cool kids. I feel like I'm in the cafeteria at the cool kids table.
I'll take that.
Mama, I made it.
You here?
I'm with Fuzz and Q. I made it.
You are here.
He has background in radio.
Oh, sure, we good then.
Hey, but look, let me tell you where the background in radio comes from. People ask, hey, man, how did you get on radio? I said, and this is about manifestation, right? I wanted to be on the radio, right?
Okay.
I was working fast food, got my headsets on, right? And I would practice my radio voice in the drive-through.
Which place was this?
Man, I ain't telling you.
It's a part of the testimony. You can't say. Listen, there's a dude in L.A., man.
Yeah.
When you go through Carl's Jr., he'd be like, hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
You want a number 3? You want a Pepsi?
And that's how I would do it. I'd be like, thank you for choosing chicken burger number 1. Would you like a number 2? Would you like a number 3? And people would pause. And I said, hello. Oh, I thought this was a recording. Or when they get to the window, they'd say something like, man, I really thought you recorded. You should be on radio. So I just kept working at it.
You kept on doing it.
I kept doing it. Then finally, after my first year in business, I had a young lady who became my mentor, who did the local community radio show. And she invited me on to talk about my business. And when she invited me on, she said, hey, why don't you come back? I said, when? She said, however often you want to. I was like, what? So I became her sidekick. And I did that for about 3 years. And she was a staple in the community activist. And, she was fighting against police brutality back in the day of Byron Gillum and Ida Lee Delaney. These are folks back in the day here in Houston. And she was on the forefront. And she was the community activist on the radio. I was a sidekick for 3 years. And then that led to me being the host of the main show, the Sunday morning show in Houston, Sunday Morning Live.
Wow.
So I did that for a decade. Thank you for choosing Sunday Morning Live on Magic 102.1. Magic 102 is KMJQ.
See?
Magic.
Yeah. He's hilarious.
Listen.
He's hilarious.
I had to get it out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Radio 1.
Let's start from the beginning. Like we're having so many great conversations.
Where's the beginning? Well, let me touch on. We can start at the beginning, but I definitely want to touch on some of the things that y'all mentioned. You mentioned, at the door. One of the things that I share with my team is that our service starts in the parking lot. Right. It doesn't start once they come up to the register or we want to try and be of service on the sidewalk. Right. And, that's important because that's where a lot of decisions are made. The biggest decision is made, right? Whether I'm going to go in or whether I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Right.
And because, yes, we do have a line that can be intimidating, because we have that, we want people to be welcomed in the parking lot, right? So we have a greeter that comes out and gives you the rundown, and I thought that was important because that's where the service needs to start. That's the first representation of who we are as a business, as a company.
Creating culture.
Creating culture.
Man,
It's community based.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
do you make your employees go through personal development? Is it like a certain training that because I'm telling you, everything felt so intentional. When you go to a place once, you're like, oh, this is dope, this is cool. You go to a second, third time, it's like, it's the same thing. And then this is my fourth time coming. I'm like, hold on, it's
consistent.
It's consistent, but this is intentional. Like, so can you talk about that?
So, and here's one of the things that I share with aspiring entrepreneurs about the importance of being in your business. I know one of the things that's kind of sexist is to say I started my business and now I don't work anymore, or I'm in and out. And that's great when you get to a certain level, especially when you're in a business that deals with the public. It's important that you establish the culture of your business. If you start a business and you're out of there 2 months later and letting somebody else run it, then that business is going to take on the culture of whomever you put in charge, right? Okay. And so it was very important for me to establish who we are, what we're about. And you asked if they go through training. Yes, we have a training program, but the stage is set from the get-go. When you talk about coming to work at TBK, it's with the understanding of this is who we are, and we're bringing you to the table to be a part of what we're doing. Not your past experience, not what you're accustomed to, but if you're going to be here, then you're going to be a part of the stuff that we do. Mm-hmm. I remember having a conversation with one of my team members one day about something as simple as smiling. Hey, just in life, you've seen people walk around with frowns on their face. It's just not a good habit to have in life. Yeah. And I share with them it's not a good habit to have at work. I was like, hey, put a smile on your face. And they said, well, I don't like smile. I was like, your smile is part of your uniform. Wow. You put your shirt on, you put your pants on, you put your shoes on, put a smile on your face because that's what these people want. More importantly, that's what they need to see.
Damn, that's a great motto.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
How did you get that? How did you,
because, who instilled that?
Service is important. So it started with just the idea of, I spent 10 years working in running a restaurant for other companies, and understood the importance of professionalism, did the customer service thing for them, and wanted to bring that to my community because I thought it was important. That's how it started. When I wrote the business plan in 98, 97, 98, 99, I started working on this business plan. And I started going around to our businesses to find out where the opportunities were for us to shine as a restaurant, but more importantly, to be a beacon of light for our community. And I noticed that there were some small principles that needed to be addressed for independent businesses, smaller independent mom and pop restaurants. And I wanted to attack those things that seem to plague restaurants, independent restaurants, and black-owned restaurants. Yeah. And I came up with a recipe that I thought was important, right? Which is open when you say you're going to open, close when you say you're going to close, and everything that's on the menu is inside the store, right?
Right.
Y'all not out.
And that's not just for restaurant, right? That is for entrepreneurs, period. Be who you say you are. Be what you say you're about. Yeah. And if I tell you that we serve fish and grits, then fish and all the grits should be in the restaurant when people come.
Right.
And if you provide a service or you provide a good for the public, and that's what you promote, then when they call you or when they come, it should be there. Now, of course, you have COVID, right? You have right now it's extremely challenging, because products aren't available as readily available as they used to be. So, but you have to make it a priority. Is the point? Making those simple things a priority. We open at 7 a.m. and there's a story of you met the lady earlier, the tall lady, Miss Jackie. Mm-hmm. She for the first 5 years I was in that grinding, right? I'm getting up every morning, I'm opening, and everything is on me. Then I got a manager, and so I kind of started shifting my schedule and doing things differently. Started working more on the business than on the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And so she understood that opening those doors was important. I had made sure that was clear to her. And every morning she called me at 6:59, and she said, "Mr. Marcus, it's 7 a.m. Just want to let you know your door's open."
Wow.
Right? Nice. Because she knew that I didn't play with the time that we open. It's not 7:03. It's not 7:05. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's important because time is important, and you can't play with people's time.
Hell no.
Especially, you can't play with people's time, period. But especially when they're going to work, right?
Yeah, in the morning, yeah.
in the morning, you can't play with folks' time. But it's also about expectation and perception. And if you don't start when you say you're going to start, then you send a message out about how you handle the rest of your business.
Word of mouth gets around fast in the black community.
Man, word of mouth is the best form of advertising, period. It used to be, and it still is. Even with social media, people trust the word of other people, even though they trust the words or they respond to the words. I'm glad I said that. They respond to the words of influencers, but they trust the word of people that they know, whose word they trust, whose word they value, right? Yeah. I could see something on social media, but if Q tell me, I'm like, it means
it's
something.
A little different.
Yeah. It's different. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, shout out to CJ. CJ, he worked at ET.
Yeah, because that's how this relationship came about.
I'm listening to, shout out to Secret to Success podcast. It's ET's podcast. And CJ doesn't like anything. If you know CJ, he don't like nothing. He don't like giving you nothing. Yeah, that was cool.
Shout out C.
And that's my boy.
When he does give it up, you like, oh.
I'm literally listening, and he says, "Man, Marcus from the Breakfast Club, man, this season is all of that." And I was like, that don't sound like CJ. CJ don't just give out he's not just giving out compliments. And I was like, so what I did was, he was like, "Man, this seasoning, I put it on my chicken, I put it on my salmon." I'm like, all right. And I'm always looking for like seasoning and stuff. So I was like, all right, if it's bad, cool. I just, I'm going to support this brother. He's, I know C don't be hyping nothing up. I bought 10 of them. Bought 10 seasoning at a time. So I got the first one. I'm like, I called CJ. I'm like, dog, you weren't lying. This seasoning is all that.
Crack, huh?
Yo, my wife started giving it out to her friends. She went and got some more for some of her other friends. So it was like, he connected us with, CJ connected me and Mark. I'm like, Marcus, this season is all that. He's like, when you come to Houston? I'm like, I don't really come to Houston like that. And it just so happens like,
and look at you twice. You've been here
twice in like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. Let's talk about the seasoning. Since okay. Did you bring? Wait, I didn't grab. Did you forget about me?
So what you were saying? Was because you made a point that I really wanted because you talked about the seasoning.
Yes,
but earlier you talked about when we first saw each other, it was kind of like we knew each other, right?
Yeah.
But our initial contact, going back to the point that we were making, was on the strength of C's word.
Yes,
right. C was like, "Hey, this is my man Q in Philly. This is my man Marcus in Houston. I feel like y'all should connect."
Yeah.
And just simply because he said that, I was like, "This got to be a good brother." Absolutely. So we got to connect. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and that's how it is in business, man. Your word
is your bond.
Yeah. And what you produce, what your life product should speak for itself to the point where it tells other people about you, and your business should do the same thing.
Man.
So what made you do a seasoning on the side?
Man, because people would always ask, how do we make the food taste so good?
Oh,
yeah, and so I wanted to. So let me back up and give the credit where it's due. My father was the influence in my life in terms of hospitality. My father was an educator by profession, but his two favorite passions that he was damn good at were music and food. Wow. Right? He was a cold ass musician. He played the piano and the organ. I don't know if y'all grew up church boys or not, but If you're a bad boy on the piano, that's one thing. If you're a bad boy on the organ,
because that's a whole different thing. That's another
if you're a bad boy on the piano and the organ,
oh, he out of here.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he was that cold.
Okay.
But and his other thing was music. Man, he was a hell of a cook. And so I grew up eating great food all my life. Didn't know the luxury of growing up in a household with great food. And I say luxury, and I don't say that lightly,
bruh.
Right? Because I would meet people. And not that I was a food snob, but I would, we'd be somewhere, we'd doing something, eating something. Somebody, oh, that's good. I was like, oh, it's cool. And that wouldn't have put anything down, but I didn't know that I had come from a house
that
where
could burn.
This dude could burn.
Wow. Could cook.
I mean, he was just good like that. One of the coldest things I seen my old man do. We went to somebody's house, friend of his, and the lady had made, Jerry, I made this, and I want you. Oh, my dad's name is Jerry too.
Got it.
Jerry, I made this. I want you to taste and tell me what you think. So she valued his opinion because she knew, his reputation in the community was he could burn. So he tasted. He was like, "Oh, Mary, that's good. That's good." We went home. Dude had never made this dish before. Yeah. We went home, and he made the dish. And took it back to her, and she was like, "Jerry, what the hell did you do?"
He put his twist on it.
He put his twist on it, right? And then he told her, he said, "I took what you did, and then I did this, that, and the third." And that, so he added that B flat, right? That C minor. He added those chords in there. Shout out to the musicians. I don't know if I got. I don't know what B flat and C minor. I don't know if they go together. I'm just saying.
It may be the same note. It all depends the direction.
And that's why you have Jerry cakes at.
So Jerry Cakes, I told him the story.
Tell the story to our listeners.
Jerry Cakes actually came. So if you, God, dog, see, this was an in-house secret. This wasn't supposed to be for the public.
Come on, give it to us.
So our regular version of our pancakes are a regular version. They were made for the general public,
and I was enjoying that.
Yeah,
which I thought was great.
Yeah.
But
Jerry Cake is one of those, restaurants have like a in-house, a back of the house, or you only know if you know. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things that you only know if you know. And it's the way my mother used to make the pancakes. It should be called the Betty cake because my mom's name is Betty. But the reason it's called the Jerry Cake is because my brother, who didn't work in the restaurant, he worked downtown, but he would always come by the restaurant. And he would come in and go straight to the kitchen to make his own food. Mm-hmm. And he would make the pancake the same way my mother made it. And he'd come out and people were like, I want a pancake like that. And so we say, hey, make him a Jerry cake. So then when Toby got a hold of it and then CJ got a hold of it and then they just told the world, and what was a secret now has made it to the FAQ podcast.
Nice.
Yeah. It's
won't he do it?
It's home style pancake, the edges.
Yeah,
are
the
crisp.
difference is one is just just a regular fluffy pancake, but this one, the way my mama used to make pancakes is the edges had to be crispy, right?
Yeah,
they came out nice and crispy and buttery and
I put a picture on my Instagram.
Man.
Oh yeah, I had to.
Only reason I didn't because I got family here. I couldn't see. Never mind. That's another story.
They gonna know now.
Yeah, shout out.
He back at the.
I'm gone. Okay. So how many restaurants do you have here in Houston?
So right now we currently have the Breakfast Klub, which is our flagship. That was the first concept. That's our flagship concept. That's the one that anchors everything else. From there, we moved to acquiring and reopening a staple in Third Ward, the Reggae Hut, which opened before the Breakfast Klub. Okay. We opened in 2001. The Reggae Hut opened in 96, like 5 years before when I was a senior at Texas Southern. And it was a source of inspiration for me. Mm-hmm. And then around 2005, it started to have its challenges, change hands, management, ownership, and the community wanted it open. And one thing about the African American community, man, is whether we know it or not, say it or not, anytime one of our businesses close, it tears at the morale of our community. Mm-hmm. It hurts. It's painful. It leaves a scar. And we don't always talk about it, right? We don't confess it. We don't talk about it. Matter of fact, we even referred to some bad behavior by saying something like, see there, I knew that was going to happen when I could have told you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is unhealthy.
No,
which is unhealthy.
Not good at all.
So I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want this business to close. It had been an inspiration to me. It had been an inspiration to a few other folks. And it was damn good food. And so I wanted to, and you mentioned community. Community is what we're about. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be to show how to, as an entrepreneur, to be an entrepreneur in the community.
Got it.
Right? I'll dig into that in a minute. And so instead of allowing this business to struggle and to shut down, I decided to put into practice the fourth principle of Kwanzaa, which is cooperative economics, right? Mark, at the time, I hadn't started making money, you know what I mean? And so I didn't have the money to just go write a check and reopen that business. I had to take the money out of TBK, right? And use that to relaunch the Caribbean restaurant. Wow. And I wanted people to understand that this was your money that I, as the steward of this, reinvested back into the community. Right. And that's what entrepreneurship is really about. Today we think it's about dollars and cents. We think it's about profit and loss. But entrepreneurship at its core is about filling voids in the marketplace. It's about a call and response relationship between the entrepreneur and the community. The community is saying, we need. And the entrepreneur says, I have the solution. I have the answer. The community then says, you have the answer? Yes, I do. Here it is. Okay, we will support. Right? Wow. And that's how entrepreneurship is supposed to work. That's how community building.
And that's how you get people supporting you all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why you have I guess Saturdays or the weekends, the Breakfast Klub is cracking.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, no, it cracked right after you left.
Oh, really? So we were there early.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I sent you, when I was pulling off, I sent you a video saying, hey, Fuzz, they showed up. It was as I drove down the block, the line had reached the other block. They had heard that Fuzz and Q.
Yeah, man. That we was there. Somebody pulled up on me strong and wrong today, boy.
How do you
pulled up on?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was hilarious. We thought, we didn't know. We were in the Breakfast Klub. This lady came up to Fuzz, and it was
I didn't know we was going to talk about it.
No, yeah, let's listen.
I didn't know what the hell
lady come up to him like, hey, what's up, such and such? You know my such and such. And me and Marcus just looking like, oh, really, Fuzz? I didn't know where it was going, but I loved it.
I pulled down an imaginary mask that I didn't have on. You know who I am?
Fuzz is like, do you know who I am? Yeah, I know who you are, Fuzzy. I was like, ooh, this is about to get good. And I had food, so it was like a movie.
Hey, you know what? And on the cool, Fuzz, I didn't say anything. But I could see he was egging it on. He was like,
"Oh, he's
yeah, I'm an instigator. Yeah, I'm the little brother. Oh, this was great. I was like, oh, this is amazing." But the lady, she knew him from Compton.
I really did think that it was about to be, why you ain't call me back?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Or about to be, hey, he's 17 now. You don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude.
I didn't know what the fuck was going on,
bro. It was
all the love, though. It was
great.
Little Fuzzy is now big Fuzzy.
Here's a picture. You missed prom, but no, you knew her. You knew her husband. Yeah, she knew his husband from L.A. We're in Houston.
Was it her husband or a homeboy? No, her homeboy.
Oh, the homeboy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a homie. Yeah, shout out to Mo.
But no, again, you broke down entrepreneurship and what it really means, and a lot of people feel like entrepreneurship is, I don't have a boss, I can do what I want, and
let me put this out there, right? Well, first of all, let me give you the definition of entrepreneurship. I coined this. I told E, I've already trademarked it, so you can't steal it. I'm telling you now.
Got you.
Entrepreneurship is filling a void in the marketplace that the marketplace is calling for consciously or subconsciously. Sometimes the marketplace knows what it wants and it will tell you, and you respond to it. Sometimes the marketplace does not know what it wants, and you think of how to bring it to them because they should have it, and you introduce it to them. In 2001, nobody was serving fish and grits in the city of Houston. Right? Wow. In 2001, you could not find a fish and grit and a chicken and waffle on anybody's breakfast menu in the city, and you damn near couldn't find it anywhere across the country. We're talking about 2001, right? 7 a.m.
Not that long ago.
In the morning, somebody serving fish and grits and chicken and waffles for breakfast.
Wow.
Right? And today it's hot. Today it's super sexy.
Yeah.
But, in 2001, we were on an island trying to inspire and instill creativity in the rest of the community and the rest of the country, for that matter.
Yeah, man. And listen, the food was fire.
Yeah.
So what's the idea behind you spelling everything without notes on the menu and even?
I knew this. I knew you being an LA boy. I knew this was gonna come.
The K.
Up.
Everything.
I knew this was gonna come up.
K's. and I was Googling. I was trying to find it on when I was trying to get the direction. They were like, it's called the Breakfast Klub. It wasn't called. Oh, you got to spell it with a K.
Man, I actually had somebody, and I didn't think about it at first.
Oh yeah.
I actually had somebody say, "I'm not going in now." And I was like, why?
Some LA. It was on the LA.
It was some LA cats.
Of course.
And I was like, no, that's not what it's about.
So what's the theory behind it? You just want to do something?
So when starting the business, a question that was asked to me quite often was, what's going to set you apart, right? What's going to make you different? There are 100 other restaurants. There are 1,000 other restaurants. How are you going to stand out? So I started thinking about that holistically, just all around. What will we do different to stand out? And, a number of things came out, but it started with the menu, right? Yeah. Nobody was there. I was like, we're going to be the only people selling fish and grits and fried chicken at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? We're the only people that have this on the menu.
Right.
We're actually a coffee shop. Our first slogan was the coffee shop that happens to serve great food.
Wow. And so that's why you have coffee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're a coffee shop. Yeah, we have 6 different roasts, and we do the full-fledged coffee shop thing. We have caramel macchiato, the white raspberry mocha, the mocha, fresh-made hot chocolate, the whole shebang.
Wow. Oh, man, I had no hot chocolate this morning.
Yeah, man, you should have had your hot chocolate. Now, it ain't. It's not no package. We make that. We make it in-house. Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
I didn't. Well,
yeah,
I always just drink the coffee.
Secret. He drank 2 of them last time.
Yeah. He's
see how
okay. How did we get to the K?
So that was part of it too. I was like, okay, what else can I do? Right? Besides putting the stuff that I put on the menu, I already knew the stuff that I mentioned before. We're going to be professional. We're going to be on time. We're going to be great service, all that kind of good stuff. That was one of the menu items or 2. And then I was like, well, let's play with the menu. Let's replace all the hard C's with K's, right?
Yeah.
And when people ask me, I have 2 answers, right? One, why did you change the C to the K? And I said, you asked about it, right? It was like, yeah, that's why. It got your attention.
Okay.
It made you ask. Right?
Conversation.
It stood out.
Yeah,
right?
nothing to do with gang culture.
No, nothing to do with gang culture. Now, my sentimental story that I used in the first 5-7 years of business, I would tell folks that when I typed up the menu, my great grandmother, who was my father's inspiration in food, I used her typewriter, and it was old,
and the C's were
broken. And so I had to use a K.
That's funny.
And so I'll let y'all off the hook because I was about to start with that story and just wait till you go like, oh man, that's dope. That's and then I tell you I'm lying, right? I just made all that up, right?
That's funny as fuck.
So you're a master marketer.
You love marketing.
Man, I absolutely love marketing. But my first love of marketing is what you said, right? Which is word of mouth. And word of mouth comes through quality product, quality service, and consistency.
Listen, right? Q posted a picture the last time he was here, and I'm like, did I text you? I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah, it was. I got a big boy. Shout to brother Big. Big is like, yo, I need to go there.
Come on, baby. We got a seat for you. We got a table for you.
Oh no, the food was fire, bro.
Come on.
It's amazing.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you.
I want to make sure that I'm clear on this, right? Because this is important in this age of content, in this content-driven age, and content is extremely important. But there is no substitute for the product, and there is no substitute for the service. So you can be a shining star all day long on IG, on Twitter, on Facebook. If you don't back it up with your product and with your service, then you've done yourself a disservice. And I never want to be that place. And this is a hard thing. Being in business for 20 years and having the name that we have, people are tempted to put us in that H category, and I hate that word, right?
What's the H category?
The hype.
Oh, the hype.
Right? And that's the concept I don't understand, I don't get. But I told my wife one day that I never want to be the place. Ironically, we were in your city. I said, I never want to be the place where the locals no longer love us.
Oh.
I never want to be the place that we're just about the name, the brand, and that's what's sustaining us.
Yeah.
Right? I want the grits to sustain us. I want them to be the same today, tomorrow, henceforth, and forevermore.
Let me tell you what else I enjoyed about, because I'm a breakfast snob.
Man.
I like going to so-called hole in the walls. I like going to stuff that
one-offs, independents, mom and pops.
And pop. I'm in the hood. I want to go to where the people go.
I want to use the first adjective that was used to describe us.
What's that?
Shoestring operation.
Okay, I want to go.
That must have been back in the day, because I don't see it.
This was the very first article that was written about us. Now, the big deal is it was written in the Houston Press. If you got written up in the Houston Press,
That's a big deal.
that was a big deal.
Of course.
And that was an LA version, that was a Philly version.
Yeah.
It was a franchise, but it was the whatever press. But ours was the Houston Press, and it was mostly a local thing, right? But it was the number one food spot. You know,
People read it.
People read it.
It's like
looked
the Bible.
for it.
Yeah.
If you want to know where to go for a restaurant, club, bar,
Right.
whatever,
Right.
you grab the Houston Press magazine, right?
Got it.
And they wrote about it. A food critic wrote up on us, and he loved us.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get past the first sentence. I was like, man, this dude called us a shoestring operation.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. But what I was about to say is, your toast wasn't in a toaster. I can tell it was done on a pan.
So one of the things that I tell my team, my kitchen, and my staff, but I try to tell my staff how important everything is, right? From how we answer the phone to how we clean tables to every little thing is important because all of it contributes to the experience.
Hell yeah.
And when you have a place that has this fire fish, right, or this fire chicken wings, you can kind of fall into you can be lulled into the other stuff just
Being okay.
Yeah. And I was like, no, because one, everybody ain't gonna love our chicken. Everybody ain't gonna love our fish. So I don't want to take a shot on those two items. I want everything on the plate to be fire. And it's happened, right? If you don't love the catfish, because everybody have their own flavor preference.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But these potatoes, fire though.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that toast is extremely important to me, right? I didn't just want warm bread.
I don't think you peeped that. And the reason why you caught me eating it with a fork,
I'm glad you got that.
because I was on my LA shit. I'm like, I just had this pancake. I just another carb. I'm like, I'm just trying to.
I feel like we kind of skated over that.
Yeah, you ate your toast with a fork. That's like eating pizza with a fork.
I do eat
and
my
knife.
pizza with a fork.
This dude was eating
Yeah.
a piece of toast with the fork.
Bougie.
Meanwhile, he was talking about how delicious it was.
Yeah.
It was fire. I just was like, I wanted to make sure I tasted it. So I just grabbed the good part. I just ate.
Oh my God, it was all a good part. Marcus, we want to talk about this because you have 4 different entities, right? And
Yeah, we talked about 2.
Yeah.
Right?
So the Breakfast Klub, the Reggae Hut,
Yep.
Alley Cat Bar and Lounge, and Culture.
All right, so explain what the other 2 are.
So Alley Cat Bar, and again, everything that
I love
we open.
I love beef patties, but I don't eat beef.
Oh yeah. Oh.
So do you have like a crab patty or like a fish
Maybe
patty?
you can eat the crust.
No. You don't do like a fish
with a fork.
Do you do a fish patty or a vegan?
You know what?
We'll figure it out.
I'm gonna put a fuzzy something patty because that's the only thing I really
fuzzy
love.
patty.
Yeah, a fuzzy patty.
Wait, I don't know how well that'll sell.
It'll sell hell. It'll sell right. Don't even trip. Don't worry about
But
that.
you said the Alley Cat Bar.
Yeah. Everything that we opened was a response to something, right?
Okay.
Just, again, listening to what the marketplace is calling for. And the Alley Cat was answering 2 different calls. One, the concept of the Alley Cat, which I got to put this out there, because of COVID, it will reopen this fall. So,
Okay.
this spring. We'll relaunch it this spring. The bar is a hot bar, and when it's open, hot and it's popular. When it's open, it's jam packed. And because of COVID, and because I go to work, I've yet to relaunch. So we'll relaunch it in
What part of Houston is this in?
Oh, it's 5 steps from the Breakfast Klub.
Was that the place
It's
across the street?
It's on the back side.
Oh.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
It's on the back side. And so the call that it answered was it has 3 different rooms, right? It has an upstairs, a downstairs, and the front bar. And we would do one room would be R&B, the other room would be hip hop, and then like upstairs would be something like either live music or house. We had a house night. So that was the call. Put in multiple
Different vibes in different rooms.
in different rooms. And our we were known for throwing these block parties where we turn our back parking lot into
and the community shows up.
and show up. And man, we did everybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We did EPMD, we did Big Daddy Kane, we did
Really?
Yeah. Right there in that back parking lot. What? We did Rakim.
Oh, you're a hip hop head too.
We did all of the greats. I ain't gonna call it most of them. We did the greats, right?
Legends.
The legends.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so yeah. And the last one we did right before COVID. Guess who did our last one?
Who?
Biz.
Rest in
Yeah,
peace.
yeah.
peace, Biz.
He did our last one right before COVID happened.
Wow.
Let me ask you a frequently asked question. What was the first album you bought?
What was it? Oh, Sugar Hill Gang. Come on now.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He ahead.
He's ahead.
He a hip hop
He's from the vibe.
Yeah, and sat on the coffee table
And played
that I
it.
wasn't supposed to be sitting on, and tried to memorize next to the record player, trying to memorize all the words, right? And just picking the needle up and moving it back, and and just going.
Yeah.
So my daughter and I were riding in the car one day, and I put the extended version on.
Oh man, that thing like 8 minutes long.
Yeah. Y'all got to wherever y'all was going.
Yeah.
And it was still playing.
It's a beast.
You were understating something because you said 4, but now I'm in the airport yesterday, and I see the Breakfast Klub in the airport. And
Yeah,
I'm
so
like,
we have 4 street side locations and
Yeah.
then an airport location.
but
How long you been in the airport?
We've been in the airport 3-4 years now. Yeah.
You just didn't even talk about it. I literally had to walk. I literally walked
He
past.
called me. He's like, "Yo,
I'm
it's a Breakfast Club in here. You see that?" I'm like, "I got in late." So.
Yeah, I'm like, I walked past. I'm like, so you got this. How do you manage it all from an entrepreneur side? Because I'm thinking a lot of entrepreneurs see, or they may see what you're doing, like, all right, I want to get a breakfast spot, and then I want to get a lounge, and then I want to have a Jamaican joint, and then I want to have something in the airport, and then they try to attack everything all at once.
Yeah.
But what are the main ingredients for you to go from here to expansion to everything is
Having
working
a restaurant
together?
at the airport is
So
big
for
deal.
me, this is my formula. And some people, some people operate differently. For me, pace is important, right? What we're talking about, we did over a number of years. I didn't do it within. Some people have that capacity. Some people have that ability. That's not my style. I want to take some time and grow it to where it needs to be, get it where it's running right, looking right, feeling right, and have a team that has absorbed what we're supposed to be about. Because if you don't, then it can be a recipe for disaster. So one, pacing yourself, but 2, which is really number 1, people, surrounding yourself with the right people. Making sure that the team that you build is incredibly important.
I want to talk about that because we talk
Earlier
about this a lot.
yeah.
But what is the litmus test for a person? A person comes up to you, they're smiling. I want to work with you. I could do X, Y, and Z. What are you putting them through to say
you check all the
nay?
boxes.
Yeah,
Man, so I don't know that there's a perfect interview or number of questions that you can, or even a test that you can put them through, because there's a honeymoon always, right?
yeah.
That wears off, and then you gotta work on the relationship. And so I think the first thing is your integrity, your character, be who you are, right, and do what you're supposed to do, and create the culture, and set that standard, and make sure that people completely understand what they're walking into.
Got it.
And what the expectation is. I heard Ian say something early about the hire and slow, fire fast concept. It's hire and slow is incredibly important, man. Filling people out. Man, my general manager, who's been with me fortunately for he's my general manager and my assistant director of operations. He oversees multiple stores, but I scouted this dude for about a year at least. I met him, wasn't ready for him just yet.
Right.
Just made a mental Rolodex of, hey, I like this dude, and we're gonna work together at some point in time, I believe. Then I went and started looking at his stores, right? Just checking out his operation, checked out his work, checked out what people thought about him. And so you can't put on a show there. You know what I mean?
You working.
You can't put on a show. Well, if I'm going to your place that you're managing and I'm just observing how your cashiers operate, that's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Right? He couldn't do anything about that. I could only judge his leadership through
Got it.
the team
The
that was the work.
Yeah.
Right? And then, references. I believe wholeheartedly in talking to people about the product and the character of the folks, And here's a funny story. So I did all of this, and I told him one day. So finally, we came to agreement, hired him, and it was a big deal because I pulled him from a company that he had been with for 10 years.
That's a long time.
And he was vested in time. He was vested financially.
Yeah.
And I had to meet that, right? But it was important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told him, I said, listen, man, and when I hired him, it was like people came up to me, man, you hired Terry? Oh, that's a great guy. It's a great guy. Mm-hmm. And so I told him one day, I said, man, I need to talk to you, brother. I was like, man, I watched you. I stalked you. I followed you. I asked people about you, and people volunteered information. I said, bro, I have not found one person that has had a bad word to say about you.
That's dope.
I said, man, it's almost like you're a Boy Scout. And he says, well, technically, I'm an Eagle Scout.
He took it on.
Wow.
That's a bar.
The point is,
Yeah.
The most valuable thing I think in people that you're bringing on to work with you is trust, right? And that's not just trusting with the money, because the money is important. Mm-hmm. I needed to know that I could have somebody that I trust with the dimes and dollars, but I also needed somebody that I could trust. I'm sitting here with y'all right now, and it's lunchtime, because I trust the people that are sitting there.
The team.
I trusted, the people that are sitting down, the Qs and the fuzz that are there eating.
Okay.
I told him, I'm trusting you with them. Those my people that I'm handing over to you.
Yeah.
So I need to know that I can trust you with them. So when you're talking to somebody that wants to do hey, I want to work with FAQ. Do you know who we are? Do you know what we're about? How can I trust my listeners with you? We have a whole community we built at FAQ. And this is one of the things I do when I'm interviewing. When I'm interviewing management, it's like, hey man, I'll put it out there. Hey, look at that wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we already the shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do to uphold that? What are you going to do to catapult that? What are you bringing to the table? For real. And making people confess how they add value is a how you say you want to come in and do this for me? How you going to add value? You already do that. Tell me how you going to add value. What's going to make you the person that we entrust our listeners to?
Right.
What's going to make you the person that adds value? Yeah.
Wow.
I just think those things are.
People need to know. I mean, I think a lot of people are going into, especially after 2020, into entrepreneurship. A lot of people they've been fed up with however employment has been going for them.
Relationship is.
And they're like, man, I want to do this, but some of the things that you talked about are very important when you're walking through.
The biggest challenge in the business probably won't be the business itself. That will be a big challenge, a huge challenge, but it's going to be the managing of people. Right, it's going to be how will you develop and manage a team? Oh, you mentioned something earlier, and I want to make sure that I address. There is no such thing as working for yourself. Just point blank. Period.
What do you mean by that?
You're always working for someone.
Other people,
right?
Yeah.
I have 100 employees. I work for them. Right? They depend on me to take care of their families. Right? They depend on me to pay their rent. They depend on me to pay their light bill. They depend on me to pay their car note. If I don't do my job, right, then what are they going to do? So in essence, you're always working for somebody, right? I got to make sure lights are on so they have a place to do what they do.
Yeah.
The other part of it is I work for my customers. They want the product, and I'm responsible for delivering it to them.
Damn. That's it. You broke that down, brother.
Yeah. So, like, are you doing any personal development? It sounds like you are, but like, what do you have to go through to keep yourself sharp and to keep yourself, ever evolving so you can give to your staff?
I call CJ and let him beat up on me.
Really?
CJ's giving you some words of wisdom.
Yeah. He's a tough guy.
Now, man, I understand that I need sharpening, and I do whatever I got to do to sharpen. I think reading is incredibly important.
Damn.
I know you and I touched based on, I gave you, hey, read Jay Prince, The Art and the Science of Respect. You like, hey, read the Will Smith book. Yeah. I'm reading it right now. You beat me to it. You finish yours before I finish mine. But I think reading is so incredibly important, right? And whether you read or listen or what have you, I just think that, just taking in that information. So I will make it a point in the morning to just
read something.
What's
your favorite book?
Then I'm about to tell you.
Yeah, please tell me.
and then I went to listening, right? And that's how E and I connected, right? I met E first on YouTube.
E.T. the hip hop preacher.
E.T. the hip hop. Yeah, I met him first on YouTube. I was a fan. I wanted to succeed as bad as I wanted to breathe, right? And then one day he showed up, wanting grits, and and we just
been cool since.
We became cool since. So you asked about my favorite book. I have a couple of favorite books, right? And I'm mostly a I like small books, right? Like the core of my business was built on small books that had big principles, big concepts in them, right? And that's one of the things that I recommend. One of the books that I read first, one of the first books I read in business. After opening, I read some before business.
Of course.
I'll tell you about the power of reading. But one of the first books that I read in business, because it came out right then, was Good to Great.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. And if it's 20 years old now, but if you have not read Good to Great,
right,
go back and read it, because it is definitely worth the read. And the title says a lot, what it means to go from good to greatness.
Yeah.
And that's extremely important. Small books that I read that I would tell people who were aspiring to be an entrepreneur was The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. It's a little small book. It reads like a kid's book, but it brings into life principles, right?
Love it.
It's about this. It's about this. It's about this guy that lives in a town where everybody's not believing in their dream and hating on him for believing in his, including his parents, right? And it just walks, which is a real life scenario, right?
Right, got it.
And so it just walks through that process. And then the other one was Who Moved My Cheese?
Who Moved My Cheese? Yeah, that's a classic one.
So those were the three books that
That's
I
a good
read
one.
early on that really, push
You
me
read
forward.
Who Moved My Cheese?
Back in the day, I read it
Yeah.
when I was in the radio.
Look, same here, radio. Jimmy still got it for us.
I give you one of the things to this day that I use from that book. I still use a lot of stuff, but one of the quotes that I always speak on is there's a thing in there that says, "Oh, in the building." My bad. When A Sound Fine is walking the building,
we gotta listen. But we in Houston. Just people just popping up in our Houston run. Yeah.
So look, there's a thing in there in Who Moved My Cheese that says, "What would you do if you were not afraid?" And man, that thing's so powerful, because fear is incredibly powerful.
It'll hold you back.
Man, it will hold you back. It will scare the hell out of you. It'll make you. I mean, think about the deer concept, right? We use deer in the headlights as a phrase. Y'all know that phrase, right?
Yes.
Okay. We use it as a phrase, but we don't really understand I don't know if we fully understand the concept.
Frozen.
He is so afraid that he stands still, and death is imminent. Even though death is imminent, he's still standing there.
Yeah.
That is the power of fear. It will make you so indecisive,
Yeah.
right? It will make you do nothing when you should be doing something.
Yeah.
That deer should be running his ass off.
Yeah.
But
Frozen.
fear.
Deer in the
Yeah.
headlights.
Wow.
and to talk a little bit more about fear. So fear and faith are related. They're cousins, right? Good cousin, bad cousin, right? What I mean by that is they operate in the same space. They operate in the same way.
Okay.
It takes just as much energy to be fearful as it does to be
Have faith.
faithful.
Yes.
So every morning when you wake up, both are competing against one another. The question is, whose ally are you going to be, right? Fear wants you to do one thing. Your faith wants you to do another thing. The person that makes the decision, is you. So whose ally are you going to be on that day? You going to be faith's ally, or you going to be fear's ally?
That's a bar.
Dude's deep, man.
No, that's a bar. That's a bar. God, listen.
Marcus from you can say Breakfast Klub.
The Breakfast Klub.
The with a
But
K.
on Instagram, it's called
At Catfish and Grits.
And why is that?
Because we serve catfish and grits.
That's what I said. I thought it was something different. I just thought maybe they just didn't want to use the Breakfast Club
or somebody already had it.
Or somebody had it, or you just didn't want to
It was a combination of things. And this was before, you had the whole thing of all your names.
Uniform, uniform.
I was trying to be quirky, and I was like, man, we serve hell of catfish.
Yeah.
Make fish and grits.
People found you.
Yeah. They found us.
They know now. If they know before. When y'all come to H-Town, if you're in H-Town listening, support my brother.
Yeah. I mean, he did a talk show. Have you seen his talk show?
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, he did a talk show. Jay Prince was there.
I was trying to be like this dude up in Philly.
No, you ain't want to be like him. He ain't want to be like me. Listen, he had it together.
But look, this is the thing. It goes back to this idea of, man, I just want to be a source of inspiration.
You are a source of inspiration.
I just want to be, and I want to be in a space doing something that inspires somebody to say that I can do that, or I can do what I want to do just because I've seen this, right? The space that we're in, at first, it took a while, but I finally came to realize that we weren't just selling grits, right? When I had people with terminal degrees walk up to me and tell me, hey man, you inspired me to open my law practice. You inspired me to open my dental shop. You inspired me to open my medical practice. And I was like, how the hell did I do that? Mm-hmm. It's because that brick and mortar that they've seen grow over time and sustain itself provided them with a certain level of faith.
Got it.
Unfortunately, we got to go. Unfortunately, Thomas gets a bad rap, right, in that book. We call it Doubting Thomas. Mm-hmm. But it never said that Thomas didn't believe. It just said he needed a little push, right? Mm-hmm. He needed to touch it, right?
Right.
And so the Breakfast Club was something that people could see and touch and feel in terms of entrepreneurship.
Right.
And so as a result of them being able to put their hand in the side, they started to believe a little more, whether they were in, professional services or whether they were in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Hey man, from 2001 to 2011, I mean,
yeah,
we were only cats, around. Now we got a ton of black restaurants.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm grateful that we were able to be a source of inspiration for them. I'm gonna end on this, right? When that game was played the other night, the football game, the college football game. Come on.
Georgia, Alabama.
Alabama and Georgia, right? Nick Saban didn't lose. Nick Saban got a W. How? When you lead and teach in such a way that those that follow you, that those that you inspire become so good that they now compete with you and even become better than you, you get a W all day because your student has now become as good as you. The scriptures say what? The student is never greater than the teacher, but everybody that is prepared will become as great as the teacher.
Right. Smart.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Lead well, teach well, and Kirby will one day get the championship.
Wow.
Kirby Smart, that is.
Yeah.
Whoever the Kirby is in your life,
Yeah.
right? Lead well, teach well, and watch Kirby win.
Wow.
That's a bar.
Marcus, man.
Inspirational.
Entrepreneurship at its finest. Listen, you taught us so much during this episode. We thank you for coming by the FAQ podcast.
Man, I appreciate y'all, brother.
Hey, listen, FAQ podcast, subscribe anywhere you watch. And look, if you wanted to sponsor, if you want to advertise, fuzzyandq@gmail.com.
Hit us up, man. We taking it.
We out of here, man.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm about to start a restaurant.
Hey,
I'm gonna give me a breakfast club.
prices is not.
Yeah.
You hear me?
You want Breakfast Club in Compton? Let's see. Talk about it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the club got.
We got to change that cake.
You'll see.
Let's start it in Philly.
All depends on what part of the Compton.
Certain parts.
The Pyrus may like it.
Yeah.
But the South Side where I'm at may not like it. But
Okay.
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we do a
Let's
Breakfast
go to
Club here.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Or
But
Philly.
the
Breakfast
Yeah,
Club.
or Philly.
Listen, I got $100 to invest. So
Yeah, I
let's
got
do it.
54. Yeah.
Oh.
$54.
Where did the full come from?
That's all I have. I mean, I got kids, so he had 100. Yeah, I got an hour.
Yeah.
FAQ podcast. We'll see y'all next time.
Yeah.